Picture this. You're a busy person with a really hectic work schedule. However, you still want to go to Hershey Park and spend one day at the park. However, you cannot afford to buy a fast pass or to take off more time to spend another whole day at the park. So you want to try to ride everything in one day. Well, how do you do that? Well, what if I tell you guys? There's a way to ride all of Hershey Park's 14 roller coasters in one day. So in this video, I'm going to be giving some tips and tricks on how to skip lines at points throughout the day, what to do, where to go, where to eat, and all that kind of stuff, and give the ultimate guide to Hershey Park. Just a quick disclaimer, this method does not include the Sweet Start method because that is only available for full size, king size, and giant size season pass holders. And also, I'm not going to be mentioning buying a fast pass because if you bought a fast pass, you could skip every single line throughout the day and riding all of the 14 roller coasters would be a breeze. So obviously that isn't going to apply to anyone going to Hershey Park and wanting to get in-depth advice on how to hit all the coasters in one day. So with that said, let's walk through the entire day at Hershey Park. Okay, so the first tip I can give you guys is you should always arrive to any amusement park, not just Hershey, any amusement park, at least 30 minutes to an hour before the park officially opens. This will give you time to get all your bags ready and to be ready to be the first ones through the gate when the main gate of the park officially opens. Okay, so you've just gotten into the park and most likely it's around 10 or 10:05. You see Candymonium, the park's tallest, fastest, and longest roller coaster, and you want to ride it. Don't. Just don't. Because everybody from Sweet Start has gotten in line for that, and the line is most likely already an hour. And I know what you might be thinking, well, it's only an hour, so definitely it'll move, and I'm going to get here before a lot of the other people will. And while you are partially right, if you wait 1 hour in that line, that gives the rest of the crowds time to go all throughout the park and ride everything throughout the park. And then everything else is going to suddenly get like a 2-hour wait by the time you get at that 1 hour wait. And your whole day is messed up. So avoid Candymonium, and we're going to talk about when to hit Candymonium later on in the day. The first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to sprint to Fahrenheit. This ride is a GP crowd pleaser, and the capacity is horrible. This ride will often get 2 to 2.5 hour waits on those days, and you just want to avoid this line altogether before the lines get super, super long. Okay, so you've just done Fahrenheit, and hopefully you've enjoyed your ride experience. Then you're going to want to head directly to Laugh Track. This is another coaster that is notorious for getting long waits, as this ride is a GP and family crowd pleaser. So after you've taken a spin on Laugh Track, you're going to head to Storm Runner. This line tends to pick up more so towards the end of the day, and it's kind of one of those lines that stays very consistent and doesn't necessarily funnel out at any specific given time, so you definitely want to do it early. However, I will say the GP are very slow to get to Storm Runner, so a lot of the time Storm Runner won't be as much of a wait for that first hour, so Storm Runner is usually a walk-on or a 10-minute wait tops for that first hour. So after you do Storm Runner, you're going to head right next door to Jolly Rancher Remix. This line tends to pick up around the middle of the day, and because it has bad capacity, it will get very long waits very, very fast. So you have ridden 4 roller coasters, and that probably took about 45 minutes to an hour of your time between the running back and forth between the rides, walking through the queue of the line, getting strapped in, and actually riding the ride. That probably took about 45 minutes to an hour of your time. So what do you do next? Right now, it's probably around lunchtime, and you're gonna want to be tempted to grab a bite to eat, but don't. This is prime lunchtime right now. A lot of people are going to be getting lunch at this time. You're gonna want to wait till about 2 or 1:30 to get food, because that's kind of the perfect time to do it. It's just late enough that you miss the lunch rush, and it's just early enough that people start to get a mid-afternoon snack throughout the day. And if you can save at least 30 minutes by eating at a later point in the day, that's going to be possibly 2 more rides you could get in on coasters. So then what do you do next? Right now, the front of the park is absolutely packed. Candymonium probably has a 2.5 or even 3 hour wait. Sky Rush probably has around an hour. Great Bear probably has a 90-minute wait or a 2 hour wait. And Super Duper Looper, as well as Comet, probably also have fairly long waits as well. So what do you do next? We're going to head to the back of the park. We're going to do Wild Mouse, Wildcat's Revenge, and Lightning Racer. We're going to do Wild Mouse first because for whatever reason, Wild Mouse's line kind of seems to pick up throughout the day. As people start going into the boardwalk more, sometimes they'll take a little break and do Wild Mouse. And is it a good ride? No. But do you want the credit? Yeah, you want the credit. So you're going to do Wild Mouse. After that, you're going to head to Wildcat's Revenge. Now, I'd say depending on if this is worth it or not is dependent on how many of the switchbacks are filled. If only 1 or 2 of the switchbacks are filled, I'd say it's definitely worth it. However, if more than 2 of the switchbacks are filled, I would wait to the very, very end of the day to do this one. So after that, you're going to head to Lightning Racer. Now, Lightning Racer will only have like a 10 or 15 minute wait tops throughout the day, as a lot of the public don't really care for this attraction, so it won't get as much of a wait. So this is pretty much guaranteed to be a 10 or 15 minute wait tops throughout the day, unless the park is super, super insanely packed. And for this scenario, I'm going to be kind of assuming that it's like an 85, 90 degree day where it's pretty crowded, but there's no chance of like thunderstorms or anything, so nothing's going to be shut down. So Lightning Racer is pretty much guaranteed to be a 10 or 15 minute wait tops throughout the day, unless it is so insanely packed. So you've added another 3 roller coasters to the list, and that took probably 20 or 30 minutes depending on if you did Wildcat's Revenge or not. So what do you do next? Right now, there are probably still a few crowds at the front of the park, but the crowds are slowly starting to migrate to the back of the park. This is kind of the awkward time zone where no one is really away from the front of the park yet, but they're not quite at the very back of the park. So I'd say for the next half an hour or maybe 45 minutes, just kind of focus on, if you have money, you could play some arcade games, you could get some off-ride shots of rides, or you could head over to Coco Cruiser. Now, this is probably going to be about a 20-minute wait, and if it's longer than that, I'd say wait till the very end of the day when the park is literally about to close. So after you do Coco Cruiser, you're going to head to Trailblazer next. Now, if you want, you can do Trailblazer at the end of the day. I do find that that line kind of dies down at the very end of the day, but right now is a pretty good time to do Trailblazer, because people are starting to get away from the barbecue place that is right next to Trailblazer, because lunchtime is starting to die down a little bit. After you do Trailblazer, it's around 1:30 or maybe 2 o'clock. This is right when you're going to want to grab lunch. Now, depending on how many people you're eating with is going to depend on how long lunch takes. If you're by yourself, you might be able to knock off lunch in 10 or 15 minutes. If you're with a large party of people, it might take you like 30 to 45 minutes. It really just depends on how many people you're eating with. So I'm going to say you're eating with 2 to 3 other people, and you knock off lunch in maybe 20 or 30 minutes. So after you do lunch, you're going to head to Sky Rush next. This is probably going to be about a 45-minute to an hour wait, but that's okay, because we can sacrifice a long wait now because we've already ridden 8 or 9 of the coasters, depending on if you did Wildcat's Revenge or not. So after you do Sky Rush, it's around 3 or 3:30. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce you to Candymonium Dead Time. All that is in the front of the park is Candymonium and the carousel. So in lines at the back of the park, I'll have like a 2-hour wait, Candemonium only have like a 30-minute wait tops. And that's simply just because there's not a lot in Chocolate Town. If we see more added to Chocolate Town, Candemonium is going to be packed out the day. But anyway, so you might want to get a re-ride. So I'm going to say you want to get a re-ride because it's Hershey's tallest, fastest, longest coaster. And you might want to experience it on a couple of different seats. So after you do Candemonium, it's about 4:15 and only 3 coasters remain. Comet, Super Duper Looper, and Great Bear. You're going to want to do those in the exact order that I just said. So that would be Comet, Super Duper Looper, and finally Great Bear. And also, if you didn't do Wildcat's Revenge, you're going to want to do that after you do Great Bear. So congratulations. You have ridden all of Hershey Park's 14 roller coasters in one day. It's re-ride time. You can go around the park and get whatever rides you want to get in. I highly recommend going to the back of the park and getting some more rides on Lightning Racer because that really never has a long wait. You can stick it out for a long wait if you want. It's really up to you. So I'm going to be sharing some tips for anyone new going to Hershey Park in case you're wondering what some good options would be, how to maximize your experience. So stay on if you want to know about the tips that I'm going to share. So one of the big tips about Hershey is Zoo America. It is a zoo that is included in the price of your ticket. They have some great animals there, and it is a very nice place to just walk around and see the animals during that time of turmoil. But it can get sort of crowded, so I would definitely be aware of that. The next tip is Hershey's Chocolate World. I'm going to be making a whole separate video on Hershey's Chocolate World very soon, so make sure you stay tuned for that and check out the link in the description when it is public. The next tip is the boardwalk. I'm also going to be making an entire video on the boardwalk and how to hit all the slides in one day, but the very short version is you can do the water park, but it is always so crowded. I would recommend if you do end up doing the boardwalk, you get at the park when it opens, run to Breaker's Edge, do all the slides, and then just leave. Do want to get lockers. You are going to have to pay for them. You can get Skyrush lockers that are free for an hour. Or Candemonium also has lockers that are also free for 2 hours. Just be aware that you're going to have to run back and forth between the slides and the lockers to grab your stuff. The next tip I'm going to be sharing is Sweet Start. Now, Sweet Start is only available for full, king, and giant size season pass holders. However, in your ticket, you get a 2-hour early access the day before as a preview night. I would recommend that you take advantage of this, especially because a lot of people are going to be leaving when your preview starts. So you just walk up to the ticketing and you show them your ticket and they'll let you in. So if the park closes at 9, you could get in at 7. It's really nice. I highly recommend you take advantage of this. If you want to check out more tips about Hershey Park, check out the link in the description. I have linked to Hershey Park's website where they can give you a whole bunch of tips to maximize your experience. That's all for today's video. Thank you guys for watching. Let me know how this first video planned out. I kind of made this one in a bit of a rush to get this out as soon as I could because I know I haven't posted in 2 months. So thank you all for watching. Have a great rest of your day. Stay Hershey Park happy. Peace.